Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. We're in beautiful sunny Florida in the backyard today. But hey, it's wonderful weather and I thought we'd come outside so we can have a little chat. I wanted to tell a story and it's a little bit disturbing. I'm not gonna lie, it's a disturbing story, and a lot of people that know me don't know this story, and only a few people in my family know it because it's scary, and my son doesn't like for me to talk about it because it involves him. But my son was 5 years old at the time, 6 years old. And at the time we lived right on Hesperdes Road, State Road 60, Highway 60. It runs across the state of Florida, and there's a constant slew of traffic day in and day out. About 4 o'clock in the morning is when it finally gets quiet. And then about 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's just nothing but Jake breaks going down and hitting the school zone by our house and racket all day long. Traffic. So you can imagine that you're getting a lot of EMF, right? Back and forth, cars, all that kinetic energy. So, it would spill over into our house. But we had a lot of things that happened there. But one of the things that happened, and this was confirmed because I was watching a show last night. It was called The Confessionals, and I don't know how it came up on my feed, because I'm starting to wonder if somebody's just feeding my feed, to crack my brain. I don't know, but it came up on my feed, and it's not anything I subscribe to, but it was this young man, and his name was Nathan Reynolds, and he comes from one of these star families, and I call them star families because that's what they called my family, was a star family. And the other, they called George Washington family a star family. My family came from Robert Bruce, and I know that he had Nephilim genes. It's like a running joke. It's like a running joke with these Scottish historians. They talk about Robert the Bruce's descendants having 6 fingers and 6 toes and living in Alabama, which I laughed my butt off because that's where my family ended up going. They ended up going to Alabama from Virginia. So it cracked me up when he said it. I knew exactly what he was talking about because my dad's mom was, and all of her sisters, they were like huge women. They were like 6 foot tall and in the 250 club. I mean, these women look like linebackers. I'm not joking. And then they were born in a lot of trauma, so they were very violent. And so they would beat up their spouses or their boyfriends. I mean, they were totally dysfunctional. I mean, it was awful. It was awful. And that stuff bleeds down. It came from my grandpa, my great-grandpa. He abused my grandmother physically, sexually. He was an alcoholic, and he inflicted a lot of trauma onto my family. But, these women were hard women. My grandmother, her name was Lily, and God rest her soul, man. She was like a workhorse. My grandmother and my great aunts, they would be out pushing a plow in a field at, children's age, pushing plows through dirt. No cow involved, no horse involved, just girl and a plow. And so that was what my family grew up in, severe poverty and, hunger. So this kid was talking about these star families that he's in and how his family line was involved in the sex magic. And, what I was talking about, the Catholics, and how we had these sex rites that were coming in, and they were doing the serpent venom and all this weird shit, and they were using little boys and making them, castrating them, which they did the same thing to him. They made him a eunuch. And he was very prized because of his genes, just like, and this one particular royal family that's in power, and everybody knows who they are. I don't want to get myself in trouble by name dropping, but they marry outside of their family back into my family line to get those genetics back into their line. So I mean, they're constantly supplanting their genes with the genes that come from my family's genes. So I know there's something to it. And for those of you who live in the Iberian Peninsula, and you've got Scottish, Celt, Spanish, Portuguese, Greek. I mean, pretty much anywhere around the Mediterranean. If you're of Northern African descent, you can check your genetics, because you probably got some funky stuff on your chromosome 2 and 3. Your enzymes don't work right. You have you have mental illness in your family because the vagal nerve system gets damaged from the gut bacteria, because our body doesn't process protein, and we create too much cysteine in our body. That's why we have this red hair and this red skin. It changes your phenomelanin, and so it also gives you psychic intuition. I mean, it just does. I was just born that way, and I can't help it. It's not like I'm bestowed on with some kind of magic wand. It's just what I was born into, and I know that I have work to do. And a lot of you people that are following me, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you got a call. You got the call. You got the call to your soul. And so you got to step into your purpose. And we all know. But I'm going to tell you about, things that I feel like will give confirmation to Nathan Reynolds. Because a lot of people are going to listen to his story and think he's absolutely lost his mind. But there's evil stuff. There are evil things, and they come after you. They come after you. And something's been coming after my son for many, many years, since he was born. And out of all 3 of my kids, he's the one. And they've been wanting him since he was a little kid. They've been wanting him. He's special. He knows it, and he's scared of it. He's scared of it. And he doesn't like to talk about this stuff. And when he's ready, he will. But he's protected. But I want to tell you the story about what happened, because I'd had a lot of health problems. And if you're one of these people that have these genetics, you're going to have a lot of health problems. I had a lot of health problems. I suffered trauma at a very young age. And so as a result, my vagal nerve system was damaged right off the bat. I became a heavy child, overweight child. I lost my voice. I didn't have my voice. And so I became a doormat. And, as a result, I always attracted the wrong kind of people, because people wanted to use me. I didn't know how to have my boundaries, and I would try to give myself away. So I was sick all the time. I had so many surgeries. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible. I always felt like something was wrong. I'd had a perforated bowel. My intestines ruptured. I almost died from that. That was my near-death experience. That was in 2008. And God came to me then. He came to me then. And I told him I couldn't die, because I couldn't die without saying goodbye to my mother, because it would destroy her. And I didn't die. I didn't die. But they thought I was going to die, but I didn't. It wasn't my time, because I had work to do. Plain and simple, I had work to do. And after that, I had developed a hernia, because the surgeon that did my surgery just did a quick fix. Didn't want to spend too much time and energy on it. So he did a quick fix, and as a result, I had a massive abdominal hernia that I had to have repaired. And so they cut me from my breastbone past my navel and installed a 10 by 10 hernia patch. And also he had to retrieve my stomach muscles, because the other doctor had completely severed them, and they were all around my back into my back. He had to reach in and pull my stomach muscles back and sew them together, because they were cut and never restitched. I mean, isn't that some shit? So when I was in the hospital and I had that 10 by 10 hernia repair, it was really painful. I mean, having abdominal incisions is no joke. They're really painful. And this was really painful surgery for me. And I was all bound up, I was wrapped up, and they pressed it on me. And he also did, he had to clean up my stomach, because I had loose skin and stuff like that, because I had been morbidly obese, and I'd been doing my shadow work for a long time. And so I went from being almost 350 pounds, and in the end, I got so sick that I ended up being like 120 pounds, maybe a little less, but I looked like a walking skeleton with chiclets for teeth. I mean, I have a big mouth anyway. From my family, we have big mouths. And so I had these big teeth, and I looked like a skeleton. It was horrible. It was horrible. My hair wouldn't grow or anything. My enzymes could totally burn out. But the whole time I was in the hospital, I kept feeling like something was telling me that I needed to be careful, and that there was something that was just passing back and forth outside in the hallway, and I felt it, and I could almost like visually see it because it was so strong, and I felt like it was nefarious. I really did. And so the whole weekend I was in the hospital, I couldn't hardly sleep. I was afraid to go to sleep. So when I got home, the first night I got home, and you know, I don't know if I had a blood transfusion, and that's what I was thinking about today. I was wondering if I got a blood transfusion when I had that surgery. And the reason I say that is because the blood is really interesting. And when you get blood transfusions, you're getting other people's cells. You're getting their memories, you're getting their emotions, and how many desperate people do you know, have you ever heard of, that just sit down there and donate plasma every week because they need the money? And a lot of them do drugs, and a lot of them are alcoholics, and you know, they're selling their plasma because they're desperate. But the problem with that is look at the lifestyle. I can understand completely why Jehovah's Witnesses don't want to take anybody else's blood, because you're contaminating your body. Just like when you're eating meat, when you're eating hamburger, when you're eating all this stuff. And see, I'm just getting confirmation right now with my little soul bug, which is a blackstrap bumblebee. I'm gonna get a tattoo of a blackstrap bumblebee right here, because these bumblebees are always in my ear. The bees bring the news. The bees bring the news. They're the news carriers of the planet. They're Mother Nature's newspaper. So I'm getting confirmation right now that that it's okay for me to talk about this. It's time. So when he just flew by. I don't know if you've seen it in the picture, but the blackstrap bumblebee just flew by me. I love it. So anyway, I got home from the hospital that night, and I was in bed. My husband was in the kitchen, and he was coming in periodically and checking on me. And it was dark, and my kids were already in bed. And I remember waking up and being pinned to my bed, and there was this hideous looking monster on me, and I couldn't scream, I couldn't move, I was totally paralyzed in every way except for my eyes. You know, like one of those wall paintings in Scooby-Doo that's going like this. I mean, that truly was what I was doing, because I'm laying there incapacitated and scared shitless. I'm scared shitless because I have no idea what this thing is and why is it after me. And so I'm terrified. It's just this black monstrous thing. It looked like a huge tick, and it was sitting on top of me, and it had these long teeth, and it had all this slobber coming out of its mouth. It had these long claws, and it was clawing at my incision, and it was making this smacking, gobbling. Oh, it was just the most horrible thing. It was just like, I don't even want to do it. Like that. It was just so horrible. And like, if you've ever seen that movie Turner and Hooch with Tom Hanks, and that dog had like those slobbers coming down that were just hanging like that, that's exactly how it was. And it was so scary. And immediately in my mind, I'm calling out to God. I'm saying, God, please help me. God, please help me. God, please help me. I seriously am. I'm like pleading for my soul telepathically to God to help me. And I hear an audible reply in my head telling me what to say to this being. So I say it, which seems very cliche. And now, you know what? I say the reason that they make these little catchphrases cliche is because they want to discount you when you have a real experience and you encounter some of these weird things. And the phrase was, the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. And literally, as soon as I uttered you the third time telepathically to this creature that was trying to get inside of me, the corner of my bedroom ceiling faded away. Just the corner furthest from me on the right hand side. The ceiling, like, I don't know how else to explain it, but it was like this white ceiling opened up, And then the whole corner was the black sky with, I could see like stars. And I mean, it just looked like that somebody took a corner of my roof off. And I'm looking into the universe. I see these enormous, I mean enormous, hand reach through the roof down like this on top of, I'm laying on the bed, right? And it's like a huge hand, enormous, comes in, and it was so enormous it could only use the 2 fingers. To use 2 fingers, grabbed a hold of that thing and then flipped it like this. And then I watched it fly through the corner of the roof and just go. It just kept going and going and going and going and going and going and going into like the black night. Then I seen the hand go back out, and then the roof fixed back just like it never happened, and I could move. And so my husband came in there, and I was just like, I had the most terrifying thing happen to me. And I told him, we want to know what happened. I told him what happened, and he sat there and chuckled. He said, oh my goodness, hon, you had a night terror. You had sleep paralysis. And I said, I'm not sure that it was sleep paralysis, because this was really real to me. And you know, I've had a lot of experiences like this. When I was a little kid, I would often get up and have to go get in bed with my parents because I would have terrible nightmares, and it would scare me. And I couldn't stay in my room. I couldn't stay in my room, and I couldn't have dolls that had eyes that were open. And I would have to, I don't know if there was something was going on with my dolls, because I can't remember that. But all of my dolls had to have those closing eyes. And there was something with the eyes. And I don't know what it was, because I'm too little to remember. But my mother had a ritual every night where she had to take all of my dolls that didn't have automatic closing eyes when you lay them down. They had to be put in the toy box, and the lid had to be completely shut, because it had the sliding door lids on the top. There were chalkboards. Some people from the 70s know what I'm talking about. It had all the little letters across 2 little green chalkboards with 2 finger holes, and it was this cabinet, and you slid from left to the right, and you could open one side, or you could open the other, or you could just open both sides. But anyway, all the dolls had to be in there, had to be completely shut. And then the dolls that eyes that closed, they could stay out, but they'd be laying down, because I did not want to wake up and have the eyes looking at me, is what my mom said. I said, I don't know. But I used to have a lot of terrifying dreams when I was a child, and I would go get in bed with my parents. And, you know, my dad would try to hug me because, you know, I was scared, but he'd make me hot, and so I'd have to get out of the bed. But I think I think as an adult, I think he was doing it on purpose, because he just didn't want me kicking all over the bed. And you know, and maybe so. Or maybe he was just trying to be sweet. I don't know. My dad's a great man. So, so the thing went out, and then after a few minutes of sitting there, I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, no, this was real. This was real. This was real. He's like, no, it wasn't. You were just having a night terror. You know, my husband is the one that he's got to see it to believe it, and he's not seen anything like that, and he's not in any way receptive to it. He doesn't think aliens are real. He doesn't think any of that stuff is real. So, and you know, whatever, you know, we all are on our own special journeys. And just because I'm on a different journey than my husband doesn't mean that we're not a great pair, because we are. It's just that everybody takes their path at a different time, and you shouldn't shut people out of your life because their path may be different than yours, you know, your spiritual path. And everybody has the right to believe what they are. Their soul may not be as evolved, or they may be more evolved than you. And so it just is what it is. It is what it is. You can't force everyone to accept your ideas. You know, the people that are seeking your ideas because they have these same thoughts, they'll find you. They'll find you, because all of our frequencies tune into each other. Just like people that are finding this information now, it's because our numbers are the same. Basically, we're resonating at the same frequency, and you know, I think that, as it said in the Urantia book, you know, that the law of one, the children of the light, the lilies, time of the lilies, all of that, all these people right now are tuned in on the same channel, and you know, I think it's great. I love it. So I want to show you a depiction of what this thing looked like, because I ran across this like last year, and this is what it looked like. It looked kind of like this, but way more menacing. And this is a painting that was from the 1700s called The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli. And this guy was, I think he was German. But I'm thinking, how would you know what this looked like? And it did look like this. And I was shocked when I seen it, because then it totally made it real. And it's called they call this a demon creature that is an incubus or a mara. And so I started reading about what that is. Well, a lot of people know what an incubus is. It's like a sex demon type thing, which grosses me out. And then there's a mara. And then the mara is basically like a demon. It's like a demon. And the other thing that I had been told that every time that you get cut open, that you lose part of your essence. And I've been hearing this word essence thrown at me for a long, long time, and I never knew what they were talking about, essence. You know, because when I think of essence, I think of spices and stuff like that. But what they meant was your soul, like, is your essence. They call it your essence. But they were telling me that I needed to be careful, because every time that I have a surgery, that I got to take better care of myself, because I'm losing my essence. That my essence a little escapes every time that your body is cut open, which I thought was interesting. And then, to talk about this stuff, that to finish the story, is about 30 minutes later, my son starts screaming from his bedroom. And so, of course, I'm going to get up. It doesn't matter how hurt I am. I'm going to go see about my baby. So I get up, and my husband helps me in there. We're trying to see what's wrong, and he's screaming hysterically. My son had so many night terrors as a child. It was horrible, and he was always saving me from a hole. He's always reaching into a hole, screaming, "I got you, Mom! Grab my hand! Grab my hand! Grab my hand!" And it was terrifying, because I would wake up, and he would be in a completely another realm. He'd be astral traveling and saving me. And you could not get him out of it. It would take, we started making him counting and counting and counting. Sometimes he'd just go and just walk all over the house. He'd run all over the house. He's screaming and carrying on. And you were trying to talk to him, and he's talking back to you, and he's not even coherent. And it was horrible. Well, that night he was screaming, and when he finally came to, he said that there were black monsters underneath his bed, and that they were biting his fingers and toes. And so my husband looked at me, and he was kind of like, okay, now. So, that's one that he's been stumped on to this day. But I think that it's real. I mean, look at this thing of this Buddha with this monster underneath his seat. I mean, this is from the 5th century. I mean, what is this? And this is from the 1700s. And the other thing is look at this donkey head right here. And one of those prophets had went into the Jerusalem temple, and had went into the sacred temple in the back, and found one of these donkey heads, and said that they were worshiping donkeys, because when they were wandering through the desert, the first thing that came towards them was a donkey. And so they thought that this was a signal from God in this donkey animal, so they started worshiping donkeys. But it's kind of strange that this donkey would be in this nightmare, because this was definitely a freaking nightmare. It was awful. It was awful. But when you, just like Nathan Reynolds was talking about, that when you come into these bloodlines, that you're a target. And you got to protect your energy. So you need to be outside every day, grounding to the earth. And you got to be meditating, clearing your energy. And you've got to manage your diet. And that's all there is to it. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's a work in progress. You got to step into your purpose. I've had a lot of nefarious things after me, a lot of times in my life, and after my kids too. And especially my one son. And it's a frightening thing. It's a frightening thing. It really is. It really is. There is definitely a force of evil that is trying to keep souls stuck here. in a constant reincarnation loop. And my grandmother, she passed away in 2008, and she promised me that she was going to share with me all the secrets of the universe, because my grandmother was a spiritualist, and she was a clairvoyant, and she did automatic writing, and she was a healer, and she used to go to these big spiritualist conventions in Toledo in the 60s, Toledo, Ohio in the 60s, and she raised my mom and my aunt and all them kind of in the way, you know. They were all aware that they had a connection that, you know, and, you know, my grandmother, the way she was just the way she was. She was a Scots-Irish-German, and so, you know, she was clairvoyant. There's no doubt about it. You could never get anything by her. Just like my mom. I could have never done anything wrong when I was a kid. She already knew what I was doing. Like, we used to all cook the same meal on the same day. We'd go independently to the store and all buy the same stuff and cook the same meal. I mean, that's how it even works. I mean, it's crazy. Or you're calling each other when they're texting you, or just something like that. I mean, we're very connected. And so my grandmother, you know, she promised me, because she was a information hound. She wanted to know where she came from. She worked extensively on our genealogy. You know, she always instilled in me the importance of finding out, you know, be an investigator. My grandmother was an investigator extraordinaire. She really was. You weren't going to get shit by her. And my mom too. My mom still is nosy as she can be, even though she's getting old. She's lost her edge, but God love her. God love her. So anyway, I just want to say that, you know, it's a fight between good and evil. It's a fight between good and evil. And, you know, now it's time to be stepping into your purpose. You got to step into your purpose. You know, we can all be sharing these stories about things that we can be doing to make ourselves go in a better way in the future. And, you know, there is stuff here. They're called midways. They're called midways. And these people have been doing these sex rites to these midway spirits for a long, long time. These midway souls or midway angels. I don't know what you want to call them, but they've been doing these sex rites for knowledge for a long time. The government, all of these people are involved in it. This is why you've got all these kids that are being trafficked. They're being trafficked for their enzymes, their sacred enzymes. Just like I was told to name my channel Sacred Enzyme, and then I would figure out why at a later date. And so I always follow the universe. I don't doubt it. And as you can see, as all of these videos are coming about, we're learning that there are some sacred enzymes. And, you know, a lot of people that have content on YouTube now are talking about enzymes. And I'm glad that Roger's talking about enzymes at Mud Fossil University. I'm glad he's talking about it, because I would have never been able to find out about the enzymes if I had not learned about transition metals from him. And the periodic table, and how, you know, atoms work, and how, I mean, I got to give the man 100% props for his knowledge, because he is absolutely flawless. He really is. And, you know, a lot of people think that he's crazy too, but he's crazy like a fox. And I'm crazy like a fox too, and you are too. So you know what? You can't worry about the namesayers, because they all got something to say. Everybody's got something to say. I've been ridiculed my whole life for being different, and it used to make me cry. You know, it used to make me cry because it hurt me, because I couldn't be myself. And I had a very small number of friends that could truly know what I was. You know, that I was different. I was different. I wasn't like everybody else. You know, I've seen things, I felt things, experienced things. And I was raised different. I was raised to be more perceptive. And, you know, it makes you ridiculed and an outcast. But it's okay. It's okay. Because people are waking up now. It's okay. It's okay to be yourself. You don't have to please anybody else. There's only one place we're going to, and that's going back to the absolute. When we're done with this run, we're going back to the absolute. And we're doing our part in clearing our karma, right? We're here doing the work. And we'll be here, and we'll be here. So after sharing that little crazy story, I'd like to know what you think. I'd like to hear your own personal stories. Have you ever had an encounter with one of these Incubus or these other things, Mayas. Is that what I said that they were called? Have you ever had a situation where one of these things have attacked you? And what happened? Amara, M-A-R-A. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. So thanks for spending 30 minutes with me this morning. And when you search for me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, future, all at the same time. So get outside today and enjoy some beautiful weather. Take your shoes off, put your feet in the grass, set your intentions for today, and thank the Mother Earth and the God of the universe, and say, this is going to be a beautiful day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.